Good afternoon. I welcome you all to the SPMRF Policy Dialogue, Dr. Syama Mookerjee Research Foundation's Policy Dialogue. And we have a very interesting and versatile personality with us, Dr. Prabir Dey. Uh, Dr. Dey is a foremost expert in India on India-ASEAN relationship, on ASEAN, and he has, one can say, spent a lifetime discussing, writing, exploring the entire ASEAN region against the backdrop of India. He has extensively traveled. He is extensively connected to the region with policy experts, with think tanks, and with various institutions. He is a prolific writer, and he works very closely with the government of India in policy formulation and in assessing the various developments which is key to the ASEAN region and which is key to India-ASEAN relationship. I welcome you, Dr. Dey. I had in mind that, in October, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi participated in the 21st India-ASEAN Summit.
Correct.
And it's very significant that a few years ago, we celebrated the 25th year of India-ASEAN relationship. And this year is very significant because it's the 10th year of Prime Minister Modi's Act East policy. And he always speaks about ASEAN being central to India's Act East policy. And Prime Minister Modi speaks about the Asian century. And he says that ASEAN is central to the Asian century. I mean, in fact, he also says that Lord Buddha is also central to us, to the Asian century. And Buddha is central in a sense, Buddha's legacy is central in a sense to the entire ASEAN backdrop, the ASEAN essence and psyche. So I just wanted to, know for the benefit of our listeners, what could you say are the key takeaways from this very important 21st India-ASEAN meet in which Prime Minister Modi made some very important and crucial interventions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Ganguly, for the invitation. It's a great pleasure for me coming to your foundation and to talk about ASEAN-India relations. Well, the 21st ASEAN-India Summit that took place at Vientiane, the capital of Laopedia, this was Prime Minister Modi's 10th participation, and it coincides with 10th year of Act East policy. And when he delivered the speech, it was the 10th of October, October being the 10th month. So he announced, and very proudly and quite obviously, that 10 points agenda for ASEAN-India relations. The key takeaways of the concluded ASEAN-India Summit: first, that 2025, next year, the designated ASEAN-India year for the tourism. You might be knowing, when he attended the first summit in 2014, only out of the 10 countries, only 4 countries were having the direct flight to India. Today, all 10 countries, they have a direct flight.
Oh, it's a big achievement.
And not only just to Delhi, there's many cities, even, going to the tier 2 cities, smaller cities are connected, and bigger airlines, their slots are full, new airlines are coming. So, very correctly, since cities, countries are connected, tourism year, has been designated. Point 2, one of the takeaways is that we have been negotiating free trade agreement with ASEAN. So Prime Minister Modi, he suggested that let's complete the free trade agreement by 2025, next year. ASEAN-India free trade agreement, which came in place in 1st January 2010. So, and free trade agreement is very important. So one of the recommendations, key takeaways, was to complete the review of ASEAN-India Free Trade Agreement. At the same time, there are several important recommendations, announcements, key takeaways, out of the 21st ASEAN-India Summit. Even like it is going to be a 10th year of Act East policy, which Prime Minister Modi announced when he attended the first summit, ASEAN-India Summit. And to commemorate the 10th year, we have planned several activities, cultural program all through the year. And this is, I see the one of the important announcements. So there are several others, small thing, but small steps, but big jump. So I think ASEAN and India current relations among all its dialogue partners is quite good. We are doing well. And I am sure, the coming days, ASEAN India, we are the partners, many international forums. We are also, we are having geographical borders, both maritime and land, very unique. So in that way, we see ASEAN as our civilizational partners, which Prime Minister Modi has been telling. The Asian century, and ASEAN is the center to it, key to the Asian century.
I think this is a very important term that you have used, civilizational partner. And I think that really defines this relationship from many others. And therefore, it has I think, in a sense, you are the expert, but I'm sure you'll agree that India-ASEAN relation has this civilizational component. And that is what makes it rather unique in terms of possibilities. And the recently announced the announcement that was made by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi of conferring Pali with the status of classical language, I think it has created a wave and generated a resonance in the ASEAN countries.
Very correct.
Dr. Dey, I wanted to really pick your mind on when we say 10 years of Act East policy. Can you name what are the at least 5 achievements of this Act East policy? Because earlier it was Look East policy, and Prime Minister Modi dynamized it and he turned it into Act East policy. And since we are celebrating 10 years, observing 10 years of the Act East policy, I must remind all those listening to us that it was right in the first year of his first term as Prime Minister that he spoke about Act East.
Correct.
In the sense, demonstrating his seriousness to look at ASEAN, to look at Southeast Asia, and to look at India's Northeast as a gateway to the ASEAN.
Very correct.
So, I wanted to really, wanted you to elaborate on what is the significance of the 10th year of Act East policy.
Well, this is very interesting, questions, and there are lots to say. In 10 years, I can go on.
Yes, please.
But if you put me just at 5,
no, I mean it can be even more than that. But it can be even more. It can be 10 for 10 also.
Okay. So if I may say major 5, first is the revival of the Nalanda University and inaugurating the Nalanda University.
Very important.
If you see who are participating in Nalanda University, most of the ASEAN members and some of the ASEAN member states who even could not contribute. India said, Prime Minister Modi said that, look, you don't have to do the financial contribution. Please come and join
Fantastic.
Nalanda University. So I will put this Nalanda University revival, making it as a global knowledge hub, educational hub. This is the number 1, which he has made it done. Second is on the economic front. If you see that in the trade in goods, we have a lopsided relation. India has a trade deficit with ASEAN countries because we import lots from ASEAN, which feeds into our exports. For example, India is one of the top exporters in automobile, but if you look at who are supplying automobile parts and components, it's come from ASEAN countries, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines. So we import more, that feed into our export, and we export it globally. So there is a very symbiotic relation. But Prime Minister Modi said, look, India's champion in services trade, our IT companies, IT services companies, startups, in several other services sectors. So we need to sign an agreement with ASEAN. So it then becomes a complete story. Our nurses, our teachers, our tourists, all can go to ASEAN. So during his time, ASEAN-India Services Trade and Investment Agreement was signed in 2015, which came in place in 2019. So this is a second unique achievement. Achievement number 3, that he helped in ASEAN countries during the very serious, when everyone in the world was suffering from pandemic. India was the first responder to extend, in the name of vaccine diplomacy, very valuable vaccines and supports, drugs and pharmaceuticals to many of the ASEAN countries, which ASEAN they accepted, and they acknowledged, all of them, that it is in India who actually rescued them. Cambodia, Myanmar, many others.
India
Vietnam.
as a Kalyana Mitra,
Yeah,
as the Buddhist
exactly.
terminology.
Exactly. Point number 4, that it is the Prime Minister Modi who actually extended out of the town a grant to complete the trilateral highway, which goes from India all the way to Myanmar to Thailand. This trilateral highway is very important because for the trade and investment purposes between India and Southeast Asia. So he, said that let the trilateral highway be complete with a new mechanism. So then, we increased our assistance to Myanmar, completed large part of the trilateral highway, and there are about 50 kilometers still ongoing, and because of the change in the regime in the Myanmar, we could not do it. But it is the thrust, major guidance. The leaderships actually came from Prime Minister Modi's time. Point number 5 on the ASEAN and India, you have neighbors, but neighbors may turn into neighborhood only when, you give it political guidance. That political leaderships, the guidance, the support, he never missed a single summit except one. But that is because of the political relations, because of the election time. Otherwise,
that is a record of sorts.
Yeah, he never missed a single. This time also he went, despite his G20 summit. The 9th, 8th and 9th, he was very occupied in Delhi. He went to Jakarta. He remembered that a flight just for a night. He took a night journey, and then he attended the summit. He returned back. So these are the 5 political leaderships: improvement of connectivity, correcting the trade investment relation, allowing MSMEs, startups, or our exporters, giving them a space in Southeast Asian markets, and education, knowledge, like in Alanda University kind of projects, are actually built very deeper relation between Southeast Asia and India. And this gives a very, very good message to the neighbor beyond. ASEAN is our neighbors, and we have a very strong neighborhood going on. When there are disaster relief is required, they call us. This year also, the 10th year of tsunami, we had that 2004. We have 20 years of tsunami.
20 years of the tsunami, right?
And
exactly.
ASEAN Secretariat, just a month back, they came out with a commemorative volume, and they clearly underline that it is in India who is the first responder in terms of relief. India always has been there. So India and ASEAN started under Prime Minister Modi's leadership maritime exercise, and ASEAN didn't do such exercise with any of their neighbors. So I think we have our special place in ASEAN hearts, and since we are civilization partners,
yes,
they acknowledge it.
And it's very interesting you spoke about disaster management. So in point 6 in the 10-point program that Prime Minister Modi has suggested for the India-ASEAN relation and the 10th year of Act East and the ASEAN year, India-ASEAN year 2025, he speaks about enhancing disaster resilience, for which India would make available $5 million. and then initiate a new health minister's track towards building health resilience. So I think these are also very important points that, as you have mentioned, including the cooperation in cyber and green hydrogen.
Right.
And what I find interesting here is also the network of think tanks and Delhi dialogue.
Right.
And to celebrate the decade of Act East through various people-centric activities. These are the terms that he uses. So when you speak about when you elaborated the various achievements of Act East in the last decade, I think it's very clear that it lays the foundation for a more close, intricate partnership which can be taken to the next level.
Correct.
Dr. De, I just wanted, as in conclusion, one is what is it that you would like the ordinary listener to absorb from this India-ASEAN Summit and the 10th year of Act East, and 2025 being the India-ASEAN 10th year of Act East, celebrating that?
Correct.
What are some key points that you would like us to remember and you would like us to also disseminate? One. Two, when Prime Minister speaks of the Asian century with ASEAN as its center, as one of the key pillars, and I think there was the veteran diplomat scholar of Singapore, I think Kishore Mehbubani, who uses this term. He says that the ASEAN countries are all based on or linked with an Indic cultural foundation. So, which is a very Asian, it's a very Asian cultural foundation. Right. So that last point was that how do you look at Prime Minister's vision of the Asian century against the backdrop of this?
Well, 10 ASEAN states are not monolithic. They have but all of them, they accept an Indic civilization and culture, all of them, including Islamic states like Brunei, Darussalam, or Malaysia. They proudly accept, share, and transmit to the next generation. That's why India and Southeast Asia, ASEAN, our relation is always smooth. Small fluctuations sometimes happen, but we had no challenge in between. So far, people-to-people relation is concerned. 10 years of Act East policy, its uniqueness, why it is people-centric. Because, you cited the 10 points, Prime Minister. These 10 points is actually not Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 10 points. These are the points we have actually received through a very deep consultation process. And you have seen that these are all action-oriented.
All action-oriented.
All action-oriented. So these will translate into actions, activities, some kind of benefit.
In fact, there's a very interesting point, like you say, doubling the number of scholarships at Nalanda University.
Right.
And provisions of new scholarship for ASEAN students at agricultural universities in India.
Correct.
And then to organize an ASEAN-India Women Scientist Conclave.
Exactly.
I think it's a very interesting
centric we had at the summit in 10th of October, and the next week we organized ASEAN-India Cyber Diplomacy Dialogue, which is there. So, and also to tell you, this is the 21st summit, Prime Minister Modi's commitment. But if you see the last to last summit, this is the last summit, so 20th summit. 20th summit, he delivered 20 points. And several of them are already implemented. So what it was earlier, what is today is that here is a leader which is accepted, very popular, very popular in the hearts of the people in the North, Southeast Asia, that he comes every year with this action-oriented, people-centric program and actions, which people like, It doesn't remain as a speech.
Exactly.
It gets reflected into the projects, and over time, we have also strengthened our capacity in this 10. ASEAN is no more the 10. They have one more new entrance, Timor.
Timor, yes.
Timor-Leste. So
Yes,
we have
Timor-Leste.
opened our mission there already. So in all, this is a new beginning. We are telling Act East Policy 2.0. So in coming years, many of the people from Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, because they are falling behind than other 6 countries. So they are more interested to build our relation, economic, political, cultural within India, because they look at India as a panacea for their own development. And I think with ASEAN, these small projects focusing people, the below, down to earth people, for them there are lots of message. For those who are doing a small exporters, small MSME play, running companies, small artists, travelers, those who would like to teach, those who would like to go and do research. So everybody is having something or other,
Very
in
interesting.
the ASEAN-India relations. So when you include everybody, it's an inclusive, that's sustain. So ASEAN-India relation is sustainable, inclusive. That's why it is there in our mind. Everybody go and attend every year. We don't miss it. And so I'm very hopeful, very, on the ASEAN-India relations. And
So this Asian century, it has had a resonance in the ASEAN countries?
yes, very much. See, if you replying to Asian century, Indonesia, for example, they are called Indian nation. Historically,
Correct.
we are connected by maritime, and we have several in Indonesia across. We have the relation which dates back to 5,000 years millennium. Then if you travel to all of the 10 countries, so since every member states of ASEAN, they accept to an Indic civilization, their orientation, their history. So Asian civilization, which we talk about, very much we are connected, and there is no fallback, no. Perhaps some way forward, sometime, we need to do some extra work, or extra mile work, that if we retain, strengthen, carry forward the message from Asian civilization to the next generations, we need to strengthen our contacts, our relations. Instead of keeping it in Delhi, we can expand it to rest of the India, the corner, several parts of Indian, and also in Southeast Asia. I think more we do that, more we connect the people who realize the values of the Asian relation, Asian civilization, and India is a champion for that.
Yes.
Be it not just in us, Southeast Asia, also from Japan, East Asia, China, Pacific Islands, and everyone in that sense. So what we see, the journey by Rabindranath Tagore's Asian civilization, his speeches, Pandit Nehru, and we see Prime Minister Modi's same legacy is going on with more vitality, more encouragement. And we are very happy for that, actually, that Prime Ministers and our Foreign Office are deeply involved in that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dey. I think it was a very enriching and as well not only enlightening, enriching, and very thought-provoking. And the centrality of India-ASEAN relationship is very important, and this needs to be understood at a wider level, because after all, our civilizational contacts were people to people.
Exactly.
These were people-centric civilizational contacts which started off thousands of years ago, and without interruption, through many trials and tribulations, these civilizational contact has remained. And in the last decade, it has, as you rightly said, it has gone up to a next level.
Right.
In 1927, when Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore visited Southeast Asia, and nearly 90 years later, and especially in the last decade, I think that intensification of the relationship has taken off in a multi-dimensional way, with Prime Minister's focus of making it the Asian century. And I think as we celebrate next year, 2025, as we observe it as the India-ASEAN 10th year of Act East policy and
Right.
India-ASEAN tourism year. And it will not only encompass tourism, but many other dimensions of activity. So we look forward to more. We look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to your insights over the next year. And thank you very much for taking time off.
Thank you very much.
And for giving us your insights, which were very illuminating. And coming from an expert, it has that the weight of experience behind it. And I hope you continue with your exploration and going on and continue sharing your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Namaskar.